infected. We're not sure kung tayo ba infected or not, specifically in people right now staying in their homes. So the concern right now is yung availability ng test kits. Hindi naman siya commercially available to all people to get tested. So what we are gonna do right now is to discuss about antiviral immunity. So it's really nice to have a brief overview of what coronavirus is all about, or this COVID-19, no, na tinatawag natin. So we call this novel because this is a new respiratory disease. And we all know that the spread of this is through the droplets. So that means pag ako nagsasalita, this can be the droplets coming out, no? These are the nanomicrobes na lumalabas from the viruses na pwede nating i-emit kapag tayo nagsasalita, pag tayo bumabahing or pag tayo ay umuubo. But the World Health Organization have said it could also be possible na pwede itong maging airborne kapag nasa hospital tayo or nandun tayo sa mga close spaces. So it's also important to know the symptoms. Usually symptoms would come out, no, in 2 to 14 days. Kaya dun sinasabi yung mga quarantine na dapat hanggang 14 days nasa loob ka lang ng bahay. And what are we going to take note is yung presence ng fever, umuubo tayo, usually dry cough, and then we have shortness of breath. And that's one unique characteristic ng COVID-19. And of course, meron ding natitake note kasi na diarrhea in terms of this kind of virus, which is coronavirus, na identical doon sa SARS. Ito yung mga napapag-aralan. Now, I'd like to emphasize here yung lesson na pwede nating ma-learn from China. Kasi sila, may mga datos na sila, no? They have data to show us already. So if you can see there in the slide, makikita natin dito yung incidences. Now, when you say incidence, sino yung nagkakasakit who are prone to contact the infection? So if you see this slide here, makikita natin dito, most of those who are affected are aging 50 to 59. Yung iba din na 60 years old to 69 are affected, pero actually may mga bata din apektado. But what I want to emphasize here is yung death rate. Sino yung namamatay? What are the populations at risk of having increased death rate, no? So dito natin makikita yung mga elderlies natin. So these are people aging 70 to 79. Sila yung matataas ang death rate, and all the more kapag yung edad ay more than 80 years old na. Now, I'd like to show here another slide. Ito yung sinasabi natin na yung risk natin for coronavirus infection, ganun na din sa mortality rate. Sino yung mga talagang at risk of dying or at risk of getting into a critical situation, ito yung may mga pre-existing conditions na. Now, when we say pre-existing conditions, these are person with comorbidities. Sila po dito yung may mga cardiovascular disease, no? Kung nakikita natin top of the line of all the data that we're seeing, yung mga may heart disease, sila yung at risk talaga to develop up to the critical situation in this type of infection. Yung mga may diabetes, chronic respiratory disease, no? Yung mga may abnormal high blood pressure, cancer. Kukonti lang doon sa data na nakikita natin ngayon. In fact, this is again, no, coming from the lesson that we could learn from China. In fact, about 0.9% only of the deaths ang walang coexisting na comorbidities. Okay? And then, looking at the situations, whenever you get the infection, hindi naman talaga malala dapat yung situation ng pasyente. Now, if you look at it, 80.9% doon sa mga nagkaroon ng viral infection are actually at the mild level only, no? And then 13.8% would go to severe symptoms and seriousness of the disease, and only 4.7 will get critical situations. Now, you might ask me, why am I not using data from the Philippines? Kasi nga dito sa Philippines, medyo may bias tayo in terms of documenting the incidence. Kasi ngayon nga hindi available yung mga test kits natin. Hindi lahat talaga natitest. Unlike sa ibang bansa, matataas na yung mga incidence na nakikita natin, mababa yung death rate. Sa atin, medyo mataas yung death rate, mababa yung incidence kasi hindi nga lahat natitest. So, kaya ang ginagamit nating data ngayon is yung present na. Okay? Now, let me go through doon sa proseso kung paano na-infect yung pasyente at paano natin mapiprevent yung sarili natin to get infected. Now, please take note that the infection since this is a droplet, it can go through the nose, pwedeng sa bibig natin, no? Pwede ding sa mata. Now, usually this goes through the nose, okay? So, ang kagandahan, pag dito kasi sa ilong natin, we have what we call the nasociliary structures, which drives out yung mga foreign substances supposed to be. Doon din sa ating lungs, sa may bronchial area, may tinatawag din tayong hair-like projections. Tinatawag natin silang respiratory cilia. Now, ang problema, ito yung hinihit ng mga virus. Okay? So, they destroy the cilia. So, pag na-destroy sila, it will slough off and then it will occupy the space of your lungs, kasama yung mga debris and then the fluid, kaya tayo inuubo. So, yun yung nagiging pneumonia. Okay? Now, I want to let you see here yung tinatawag nating immune response. Lahat tayo may immune response, kaya kailangan yung matatag na immune system. Now, we have two types of response that I want to discuss here. First is yung ating innate immune response, and then yung ating adaptive immune response. Yung innate immune response is non-specific, however, that is the most aggressive first line of defense. So, ibig sabihin, pag pumasok ganyan yung virus, madidetect agad yun ng ating innate cells, which is isa sa paborito ko is the natural killer cells kasi kasama na dito yung mga macrophages. Pero in terms of viruses, the natural killer cells are the #1 defense. Okay? Kaya nga pinag-aaralan sa iba't ibang bansa ngayon, in the United States, in China, in Korea, tinitignan nila kung paano i-boost yung action ng natural killer cells. In fact, even in immunotherapy, that's what they use right now, yung natural killer cells, kasi it acts not only for viruses but for cancer cells as well. So ngayon, balik tayo dun sa natural killer cells. Yung natural killer cell, pag nakita niya yung virus, it does a lot of things. It can be cytotoxicity or talagang pinapatay niya ng diretso. Now, I want to show you here in this video kung ano yung nangyayari doon sa natural killer cell. So kung makikita nyo dito, ito yung coronavirus. The coronavirus has lots of particles. It has an RNA, that's why it can replicate inside the cell, right? So meron siyang receptor, didikit siya dun sa ACE receptor ng ating lungs, specifically sa alveoli. And then i-infect niya yung cell. When the cell is infected, there you go. Yung ating natural killer cell ang responsible to take care of that. So kung makikita nyo dun sa figure, yung maliit na cell dyan na nakadikit sa malaking infected cell, that's your natural killer cell. Pinipigilan niya ngayon na mag-outburst yung cell para i-spread niya yung virus. Ganun ka-importante ang natural killer cell. Why? Because it takes time for adaptive immunity na magkaroon tayo ng antibodies para magkaroon tayo ng immunity doon sa virus. It will take several days and sometimes several weeks bago magkaroon ng immunity. So that's how important it is to have a very good functioning innate immunity or yung ating natural killer cells. Okay? Now, this time we will be discussing factors that will disrupt the immune function. Paano bababa ang immune system mo? So pag alam mo na yung factors na yun ang iiwasan natin. Okay? Now, there are things that we cannot get rid of. Number 1 is aging. So pag tumatanda kasi tayo, iba ng situation ng ating immune system, right? So yung number ng immune cells natin, integrity ng immune cells natin, sobrang iba siya kesa sa early adulthood. Okay, so that is primarily aging. Now, number 2 included here is malnutrition. Yung kulang sa pagkain, kulang sa nutrition. You know, I should say, ang malnutrition kasi pwedeng overeating, pwedeng undereating. So, depende dun sa nutrients na nakakain nila. Pwede naman kasing kain ng kain, no? Overweight na nga, obese na nga, pero malnourished pa rin kasi yung mga dapat na nutrients na kailangan niya, yung essential nutrients, the minerals are not there. It's more of the calorie na natitake nila. And then another factor that disrupts immune function is of course chronic disease. So dito na pumapasok yung mga comorbidities, yung patients natin na may mga diabetes, may mga heart disease, they have cancer, they are the ones who are really prone to contact viral infection just because yung immune system nila mababa. Kaya nga ang tawag natin sa kanila, immunocompromised patients. Alright? And then lastly, ito yung pag-uusapan natin, people right now have so many undesirable lifestyle. Okay? So this undesirable lifestyle eventually ends up to us having a very low immune response. No? And this includes yung pagkain natin, diet and nutrition, being sedentary, no? And then meron tayong physical and mental stress, and then hindi natutulog ng maayos, sleep. Okay, this is sleep hygiene that we call, and then consumption of alcohol and cigarette, smoking. So in the next slide that I'm going to show you, so this is what we call aging and the immune system. Now, there are lots of studies right now showing us that when a person is aging, there is what we call loss of adaptive immunity already. No? So ito yung tinatawag natin na pag tumatanda ng pasyente, we have this what we call inflammaging. No? So pag sinabi mong inflammaging, yung adaptive immunity mababa, yung innate immunity bias naman. Kaya kapag matanda na, laging may inflammation, laging masakit ang kasukasuan, no? They are really prone to inflammation. Okay, so there is also a loss of immunoinhibitory capacity. Ibig sabihin, kaya nga laging may inflammation, kasi yung pag nag-inflame kasi, kailangan ini-inhibit mo rin yun. Hindi laging dapat inflammation. Okay? So, yun ang nawawala when we age. Okay? Yun din yung nangyayari sa may mga autoimmune diseases. So, I'd like to put a mention here on the telomeres. No? Yung telomeres kasi natin, these are the tip of our chromosomes. In fact, na nag-shorten as we age. So, there are lots of factors that causes the shortening of our telomeres. It's not only aging. Chronic disease, our lifestyle, our daily choices, they actually determines the lengthening or the shortening of our telomeres. So, ito yung sinasabi natin na the shorter the telomeres, the shorter the lifespan. The longer the telomeres, the longer the lifespan. So, ang gagawin natin, what do we do to lengthen those telomeres? Because they dictate the integrity of the cells, including our white blood cells. Okay? So, I'd like to put here, kung makikita nyo dun sa slide, kasi pag sinasabing aging, alam natin, edad lang, ano? But right now, aging doesn't only counts with the number of your age by the year na pinanganak ka. Okay? So what I'm trying to say here is, right now, the chronological age is not anymore compatible with the biological age. So yung sinasabi natin chronological age, eto yung edad mo nung pinanganak ka. That's what being placed in your birth certificate or in your passport. But right now, what's the condition of your cells biologically? Kasi we have many patients at age 28, may maintenance medication na yun sa diabetes, may maintenance medication na sa hypertension. Edad 38 years old lang, na-stroke na. So, it's not expected at their age. Now, looking at their cells biologically, unfortunately, hindi talaga compatible yung kanilang chronological age sa kanilang biological age. So, what do you expect? Now, in these patients, even at this age, say 34, yung iba 45, let's say 50 years old lang, but the age of their cells is too far from the chronological age. Kaya kung titignan mo, average age of death in the Philippines right now is 62 years old. Although yung life expectancy natin medyo tumataas siya, pero kung titignan mo yung mga namamatay, nando dun sa edad na yon, 62. You know, sa ibang lugar, pag sinabi natin, like we have the blue zone, right? Yung mga blue zone, dun yung mga area na yung mga tao, centenarians. Nag-uumpisa pa lang yung buhay. I mean, nasa mid pa lang sila nung buhay nila, tayo na mamatay na. No? Because of these factors that we have in every single decisions that we make every single day. Now, looking at the data in the Philippines right now, this is the statistics I want to show you. Ito yung sinasabi ko na life expectancy. For female, it's about 68.8 years old. No, for male, it's about 68.8 years old. For female, it's 74.3. Yun yung average life expectancy ng Pilipino. But again, looking at the population by age group, kung titignan mo, yung mga elderlies natin, Filipinos aging 55 to 64 is only 6% of the total population. And then Filipinos aging 65 years old and over is only 4% of the total population. So that means hindi tumatanda na ang Pilipino. We're dying young because of the lifestyle diseases, because of the lifestyle choices. Now, why am I going ahead to lifestyle factors this time? Noon, nakala ko yung lifestyle modification, living a healthy lifestyle, is only for non-communicable diseases. Diba? So, para hindi ka magka-high blood, para hindi ka magka-diabetes, magka-cancer, etc. But right now, we are starting to appreciate more than ever that even in communicable diseases, kailangan yung healthy lifestyle. Kasi kung titignan mo dun sa datos na pinakita ko sa inyo kanina, those person who died because of the virus were people who are having pre-existing conditions. Sila yung mga may comorbidities. Alright? So, kung titignan natin, there are a lot of things that we can do to boost or increase our immune system. So, let's go through, may tinatawag kasi tayong training program for immune health, no? So, how do you train your body to increase the immune health? So, very simple. Kung titignan natin, very simple. No medication or supplement is capable of optimizing the immune system. Regardless of what kind of medication you will buy, regardless of what kind of supplement you will take, it can never replace a healthy lifestyle. Okay? So there are techniques that are capable of boosting the immune system. First and foremost is diet and nutrition. Number 2 is physical activity. Number 3 is mental health. And then lastly, sleep. Okay? So, when we go through these things regarding diet, may mga questionnaires tayong pwedeng itanong. Okay? So, initially, what is your typical diet? Anong kinakain natin? Are you eating more processed than fresh foods? Sa panahon kasi ngayon, we are in a crisis, right? So, ang pinakamabilis kasing mamobilize ngayon, delata, processed food, yun yung pinamimigay ngayon. But I highly commend yung mga local government units natin kasi nakikita ko may mga nagdi-distribute ng mga plastic na vegetables no? So if local governments can contact our farmers kasi wala silang mapagbentahan ng mga produce nila ngayon, and since these are perishable, nawawala yung income nila, diba? So may mga paraan naman para maabot natin sila, para yun din ang mapamigay natin dun sa mga nangangailangan. But I'm not saying na yung delata hindi pwedeng kainin, no? Because that's the available food that you have right now. What you can do, in fact, is to maximize at magdagdag kung ano man yung nutrients na essential na kailangan natin kainin every single day. So say for example, ang available lang sa panahon ngayon na meron kayo dyan kasi ang pinamigay lang ay sardinas, di ba? So you can add any vegetables you have available in the house o doon sa backyard ninyo, idagdag doon sa sardinas para madagdagan yung nutrients na kinakain natin, no? In this time of crisis. Now, next question here is, are you eating more red meat than variety of vegetables? Now, we may be talking about the microbiomes here kasi pag tayo kumakain lagi ng meat, specifically processed meat, nagkakaroon ng disruption doon sa microbiome. Ibig sabihin ng microbiome, these are the bacteria that composes our intestines. So, meron tayong dysbiosis na tinatawag pag kumain tayo ng processed food, in particular, processed meat. So, nagkakaroon ng inflammation doon pa lang sa ating intestine. Now, I'd like to emphasize here, did you know na about 70% of our immune cells are concentrated in the digestive system? Dahil ito yung may closest communication sa ating internal environment from the external environment. So what's happening here is lahat na ipapasok natin sa ating bibig, it goes through a lot of process, nando doon nag-aabang yung ating immune cells para hindi makapasok yung unwanted particles sa ating katawan. So just imagine, this is a scenario right now na ang daming virus around you. No, nandyan yung coronavirus, and here you are, kain ka pa ng kain ng hindi maganda. Now, your immune cells are concentrating on your digestive system. Instead of them fighting along doon sa mga viruses na pumapasok sa ilong, na pumapasok sa airways natin. Okay? So, this is not the right time to induce another type of inflammation sa katawan mo. Kasi during viral infection, may inflammation na nangyayari sa katawan natin. So as much as possible, we have to go through whole food, plant-based na pagkain, food as grown, para mabawasan yung possible load para sa immune cells natin through the digestive system. Okay? So another thing here, are you missing something important in your diet? Yun na nga, baka sardinas sa umaga, sardinas sa tanghali, sardinas sa gabi. Or pwede naman kahit gulay, talong sa umaga, talong sa tanghali, talong din sa gabi. It has to be a variety of vegetables. So yun yung sinasabi natin is as much as possible, we have to eat a rainbow color of vegetables every single day. And then, the next thing here, do you routinely miss your breakfast? Or do you make poor snack and dessert choices routinely? In this time of days, sugar, refined sugar supposed to be dapat hindi muna yan yung priority kinakain natin. Because sugar is known na nagpapababa ng function ng ating innate immunity in particular. Yun yung natural killer cell na sinasabi ko kanina. And the next, do you eat late at night? Kasi usually if you skip breakfast, you only take whatever you get sa lunch. And then you prepare for the best dinner, di ba? So yung pinakamaraming pagkain sa gabi. Alright? So why am I talking about this? Because I'm talking about chances of gaining weight in this time of crisis. Yes, there is possibility to gain weight kasi hindi ka lumalabas, wala kang trabaho, no? And then kain tayo ng kain sa bahay. Initially kasi marami pang supply, no? I'm talking about people who had the chance to prepare for this lockdown kasi maraming pagkain sa bahay, and that's what you will notice. So if you will see yung weight natin pwedeng mag-increase. Now, why am I talking about weight here? Kasi by being overweight and by being obese, we are decreasing immune function already. And why? Because we are putting ourselves into chronic low-grade inflammation state already. Okay? So, going ahead through the foods, ano yung nakakatulong sa atin na pagkain? No? We already talk about things na sana maiwasan natin, specifically the meat products, yung ultra-processed na food, which is driver for metabolic disease, na nagpapababa din ang immune system natin. So, because it's laden with sugar, with salt, with fats, and all the additives, diba? So yun yung nakakapagpababa ng immune system. Now, what we need right now are foods that are capable of improving our immune function. So basically, we need the vitamins, A, C, D, E. We need the minerals, like your selenium, we need your zinc, we need the probiotics, okay? Because these are good bacteria that can balance the homeostasis in our microbiome sa ating intestine. And we need the amino acids also, coming from the proteins, kasi kailangan yun ng immune system natin. Now, you might ask me, saan natin kukunin yung mga vitamins and minerals na yun? Napakarami. Okay? So when we say vitamin A-rich food, you will see here in the slide, there's a lot of choices. Makikita yan dito sa Pilipinas. Vitamin C, no need to mention. O ngayon, nasa bahay lang tayo, baka may bayabas tayo dyan sa labas. That has the highest vitamin C you can ever get from any other sources. Diba? Now, vitamin E is also present. Meron sa mga fruits, meron din sa vegetables. Selenium is available also. You can see here in the slide. We also have zinc-rich food. Yung pinapakita ko ngayon is more on plant-based sources because I'm trying to prove you that every time you eat whole food plant-based in a variety of form, kumpleto yung kailangan ng katawan mo every day. Okay? Now, even glutamine is present in the food, plant-based sources, arginine is also present in the food. Ito kasing mga amino acids na ito, kailangan ito ng ating mga immune cells. Now, looking at it, if you see, we have the power plate. Okay? So, every time a patient would eat, I always recommend them to make a landscape in their plate. Ibig sabihin, you already place whatever you want to eat in your plate. Okay? Para alam mo kung yung kinakain mo is sobra ba, kulang ba, alin ba dun yung mas marami sa kinakain mo? Now, when we look at the plate right now, 1/4 of that should be fruits, 1/4 of that should be grains, whole grains if necessary. Yung 1/4, yun yung protein natin, coming mostly from the legumes, seeds, no? And then, 1/4 of that would be vegetables. That's the ideal plate. Sa panahon ngayon, ito yung kailangan natin because we needed to boost our immune system. Okay? Now, so much with the nutrition. In our next session, we will be talking about physical activity. Kasi ang lifestyle po, hindi lang sa pagkain nag-i-end. Kahit gaano ka-healthy ang pagkain mo, pag ikaw ay sedentary, how can you even deliver the antioxidants to those parts of your body where it is needed kung hindi maganda yung blood circulation mo? So next up, we will be talking about physical activity.